Closing the knowing-doing gap. As you're probably very well aware, knowing something is not the same as doing it. I think that applies to most of us in a multitude of different situations. Just take our health, how we treat the environment, work processes. The list is endless. We know lots of stuff. That's not the problem. Knowledge is not the challenge. There's masses of knowledge out there for everything, and we have more knowledge than we know what to do with. The challenge is to convert knowledge into action, into new behavior. And for me, this is also a key challenge in most of the organizations that I work with. It's not enough to distribute knowledge in the form of memos or courses or trainings or whatever it is we decide to do. The real challenge is, once we've actually established that this is the kind of knowledge that we want to work with, how do we then move forward and actually convert that into new behavior, new skills? We call that closing the knowing-doing gap. Hemingway wrote somewhere, "Don't confuse movement with action." We could paraphrase that and say, in many organizations there is a tendency to confuse talk with action. We had a meeting about that. They did the course. We sent out the instructions. Yes, but where's the action? Has it been converted? Has it been implemented? No, probably not. So we assume that talking equals action. But as we all know, that is an assumption, and assumptions are the mother of all F-ups, Why is it important to be able to convert knowledge into action? I think the key here is to understand that we build our sustainable competitive advantage by doing things that are difficult for others to imitate. In service organizations, those things are things like delegation, decentralization, involvement, coaching, feedback, putting people first, empowerment. You know what I mean, the service profit chain stuff. The ideas are all easy to grasp. They're very well documented in the literature as the way to go. We know what produces the right results. But in reality, it is actually really hard to convert those ideas into new behavior. Only the very best service companies actually accomplish this. So we need to move beyond just talking about stuff. And why is that so hard? Well, there are various reasons for that, but let's look at a few of them. One thing is that sometimes we use our memory as a substitute for thinking. And by that I mean we cling to old solutions and ways of working when we feel pressure from deadlines, feel insecure about the situation, or just too fatigued and lack the energy to process new information and try out new stuff. So cognitive overload is a key factor in us trying to preserve the status quo. Or maybe we just fall into the learning trap. If you've ever played tennis, or you can think of another line of sport, for a certain while, and maybe you have never used the two-handed backhand. But everybody tells you that if you really want to create a power shot, you have to use both hands in your backhand in tennis. And so you try. And the first time you try that, it feels horribly awkward. And you probably don't even hit the ball, you don't get it over the net, and it's an absolute disaster. And you say to yourself, this makes me look like a complete idiot trying to do this. I better revert to my old way of doing it, because at least that gets the ball over the net. Yes, it does, but it's also going to keep you at a relatively mediocre level tennis player. You need to cross that learning trap, suffer for some while with bad results and bad performance in order to reach a completely new and higher level of performance that you didn't have before. And this is exactly the same as a manager, where we need to do things differently than we've been doing before. So we have this tendency to stay within our comfort zone. It's safe. But you see, inside our comfort zone, there's no progress. In fact, research shows that even when we do the same thing day in and day out, if we are not consciously trying to improve it, whatever it is that we do, we'll actually gradually, over time, get worse at doing it. Just think about that for a moment. Ah, I sense you don't even believe me. Okay, I challenge you to go take a driving test tomorrow and think if you would pass it. I don't think you would. So, the key here is that learning requires doing. The key point is that knowing is not really learning. Knowing is just the first ingredient to start the process. When we then start doing and reflecting on our doing, then slowly new learning emerges. I will leave you with these thoughts for now. In my next blog, I will start unpacking this concept further and in the process, hopefully inspire you to do something.